Good morning, afternoon, evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be an interesting episode. It's going to be a very rare occurrence. All of us are at our house. If you could see the setup that it took to get this working,
You'll see it on the Instagram.
okay.
It'll be there. It'll be there.
Oh no.
What have we done? What have we done?
What have we done?
You guys can imagine what the setup is.
Yeah,
already.
it is a nightmare. Yeah, no, I don't know how to describe it, honestly. To them, it was a shock. To us, it was just another Friday.
Just another Friday.
Yeah, just another Friday. If anything, we actually added more tech than we normally do. There's no phone going on.
More tech than we usually.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Bro, they got that that's usually over there. They got that which usually for only green screen. Like,
We should have done it on the green screen.
bro,
There we go.
look at the size of that green screen. It's not a green screen. It's a green square. Like, that's all you get. But yeah, what do we want to talk about today, lads? What do we want to talk about?
Was there a Jets game yesterday?
There was.
I can't remember.
Yes, there was.
I think I heard something about it.
Yeah,
but I
I
don't know.
think you did, yeah.
Yeah, maybe. Yep.
That sounds
Heard
about
something
right.
about TSN too. I don't know. Apparently, me and Carter are famous. I don't get the gist of that, but
Apparently, we played the Stars yesterday, though, according to TSN as well. Let's not go too crazy with that.
typical TSN.
goodness.
But yeah, so pretty good game yesterday, I would say.
I was gonna say for not having a full
Just fucking
line
keep
of
this
players. Yeah, pretty good game. Pretty good game,
But you-
honestly.
The injuries right now are ridiculous. Like, I'm looking at yesterday's like, oh yeah, Dominic Tornado jumping up. That makes sense. Yankees Harkins, good to see you again too, my friend.
Mikey Eastimont,
Where
why-
have you been?
Well, we know where you've been, but why are you back? Like,
Mikey. I hate. Is it just me or like something about watching all those guys play yesterday just hurt my soul a little bit? Like they were trying their best, but
was it because
just
like,
no
those
chemistry
guys-
out there
no,
last
there's
night. It was
nothing.
terrible. There
There's
was no
nothing.
chemistry on any lines with those guys.
With like 15 turnovers in the first 10 minutes, whatever it
no, the
was.
first 10 minutes was good. The second 10
First 10 minutes
It
were
was.
bad. The last
It
10
was.
minutes
The
were
last
better.
10 minutes were good.
Even though they got scored on the last 10 minutes, it was still a better period for them, I
Yeah,
would
well, they
say.
had a couple of bucks.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. First period was rough. Aside from
Yeah.
the last, I think 5 minutes, they were fine. Started to figure it out. But
Kind of blame that to Russ, though. They hadn't played since Sunday, and it was a road
Yeah.
trip back-to-back.
Like,
I
that
feel
was
like
a
that.
Yeah.
stupidly long wait.
Yeah.
Like, honestly. Like, especially since you've given them now at least two back-to-backs, visiting back-to-backs. And you're like, yeah, you know what? They need a 5-game break before a 3-game homestand. Like, why?
NHL, and let's just schedule every game at once, too, because that's how we grow the game.
Trying to tell people that the Jets are truly the first team at first place in the Central is so hard because they don't play any games. Like,
Are we still first in the Central?
no, we're not. But
Right?
we are in
We're
win
second,
percentage.
right? We're one behind by
Yeah,
Dallas,
we're in
I
win
think.
percentage.
three.
3 points?
Yeah, we 3 games. 3 games in hand on Dallas.
Oh.
We have 19 points, and then Dallas is 22.
I like
hate
that
it.
actually a little bit better, honestly.
Do you
on
like
the
having
game
games in hand?
I do.
Because I prefer having the games already done, than having them in hand. Because last
I
year,
only say that now because it's like I still like this team a lot. I think they're playing good hockey, but until we're past that 20-game mark, I feel like every game that you have an advantage in the standing like that game on hand, it could be good going into think about it. The Jets
Yeah,
lose
no,
5,
that's
6 in
fair.
a row, and they still have
Yeah.
those 3.
When
that
it
can
when
really
it gets
help.
clutched,
Exactly.
it'll kind of put pressure on
It's
everyone.
good to be that high up
get
with that
their
many
ass
games in
together,
hand.
but-
I just remember us saying last year, it's like, oh, we still got 3 games in hand on Nashville and Dallas, and then nothing ever happened. We finally caught up to them, then we lost all 3 of them,
Let's
and
be
we're like,
real.
wow, we held on to that
That's
for
true.
a
A
while.
lot didn't happen last year.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, but if you've been living under a rock for the last 24 hours, the Jets and the Ducks played on Teppo Numminen and Timu Solani alumni night. So both those guys finally got their numbers up in the rafters. So that was nice to see
Beautiful.
after a long time where probably should have been sooner, but the way they did their Jets Hall of Fame took a little bit longer.
Yeah.
But
I'm going by era, which I kind of like, but kind of don't like at the same time.
It's kind of got a grim ending to it, too. The way they do it, it's like we're going by era, and then it's like 5 years down the road, we're gonna be like, haven't had many jersey retirements, the Hall of Fame just kind of shut the door right there. It's like, didn't have a team. They left.
Okay.
Fuck off.
Question I want to throw out, honestly: who do you think the next guy to get inducted will be? Because I got this gut feeling it's going to be Dustin Buffalo in a couple years.
Okay, so if you're going by like 2.0,
I don't think there's any real like. There's a lot of good players on the Jets from that '90s era, but like when you really think about it, the only guy that maybe could get up there before them from that era would be Keith Chuck. That's like the one guy thinking about
feel
that
like-
could like be that one
maybe.
guy that they're missing from that era. But at the same time, you know, I don't know how that relationship
well, you gotta
is with
fly
Winnipeg.
Keith out to Winnipeg, and that's a tough sell, man. Like that's a tough sell.
I agree with you with the Buffalo thing, but like since they've been like with. I don't think Howard Chuck had anybody inducted with them, but usually they've been doing it like in pairs. They did the hotline. I wouldn't be shocked if you see like Buff and Ladd go together in there, and because they came over from Chicago to the Thrashers and just kind of followed.
I'd love it if Brian Little got in there too. As an
I would
odd.
love
I
that.
think that
Yes.
I think he really deserves that. Honestly, when you look at the Hall of Fame, the guys that they already have up there,
And
Brian
especially the
Little's stats are
unfortunate ending
absolutely.
to his play there, and what he would have done even going past that.
But, like, I always imagined Brian Little's last game with the Jets as being one of the more emotional ones out of all the original guys that were with that team that carried over from Atlanta, right?
Well, in a way, it was emotional.
But like it was, but in the worst possible way. Like his last game, if I'm not mistaken, was the Heritage Classic when he scored that goal, right? One of the last games that he
That
played.
was
No,
his last goal.
That was
Right?
his last
His
goal.
last
His last game was getting headshot.
I know, but like
out of here.
I didn't know if that was like right after or whatever.
No.
But like
It was
that was like
like
the last
huge.
good memory of Brian
Yeah.
Little that you can
Yeah.
actually
Yep.
go back to, which is a great memory, game-winning goal in overtime in the Heritage Classic. But you want more from a guy like that. That's arguably one of the best draft picks this organization's had, even going back to Atlanta with this one. When you look at the actual tenure of the career he had with them, but I'd love to see him get it.
Do you ever see them acknowledging Atlanta? Like, it's not something. I'm not saying I'm advocating for that. I'm just really curious because, like, with Coyotes, there's that awkward thing with the Coyotes that they have where they acknowledge a bunch of the Jet stuff, right? And with Shane Doan, it's easy because he carried over from that to
Same
there.
with Tempo and Keith
Right.
and those guys.
And like, but then with other franchises, you're pretty fortunate because there's never been a franchise that had a deep enough root in like never enough guys, right? Where and then they moved, and then
Yeah.
you're like, this is kind of
Yeah.
awkward because like with the Jets, they have like that Kovalchuk thing, like it's hanging over the Jets
A
too,
little
like
bit.
and like
Yeah.
to be fair, they've kind of acknowledged some of the stuff like by having like the Dan Snyder Award and stuff like that, but like it really. I just kind of wonder where the line is on that because they haven't done any like reverse retro based off the Thrashers, which to be honest, I feel like they really could.
I think
do.
I
eventually.
think if they did that, the Jets would be probably one of the top 5 in
I
jersey
think
sales
they
with
could
that, because
too,
people
but
love the
it
Atlanta
was one of those
colors.
things where, like, I was talking to a fan of the Penguins or our team about this, and he was saying he was witching for a Thrashers thing. I'm like, yeah, I could see that eventually, but not before the '90s. People would lose their mind
Yeah.
if that came first. Because that's the thing when you acknowledge Atlanta is that you can't do it too soon. So the question is, when has it been long enough where you can start doing that? And like he was saying, it's got to be very limited, in the sense of I could see them doing something like a reverse retro kind of jersey or something like that. It's really difficult to say. I also feel like it depends on the team. The team before, like for example, in the sense of Arizona, if Arizona does it, when you have a hardcore Canadian fan base, some of them are just going to be bloody furious about that. I mean, I remember when Colorado did their reverse retro of Quebec, some Quebec fans were not
Yeah,
happy
the
about
French
that.
people get mad about everything.
I know, but I'm saying that Quebec and Winnipeg and Atlanta are 3 completely different style of markets, so you're going to get a different kind of blowback in that sense. But I
then-
can't imagine the blowback would be much of anything
But look,
for Atlanta.
And then on the other side of that, though, I feel like the Hartford Carolina experiment that they've been doing the last couple of years.
Exactly. That's an example of how it has
has
worked great. And that's why it varies a lot depending on where that former team played. And I think in an instance like Atlanta, it would work. Like, the Jets would have a lot more freedom with that, as opposed
If I'm not
to...
mistaken, isn't there like an actual like youth team that's pretty high, like maybe AA? I don't know. That's called like the Winnipeg Thrashers or something like
Yeah,
that.
Triple A.
A lot of
Yeah,
buddies, a lot of
they
buddies on that
Triple
team.
A Winnipeg Thrashers. Yeah, they're the Triple A team for our area.
So, like,
actually.
No. They used to just be the AAA for team. Now they're
Yeah.
the AAA teams for our area
Yeah,
because
now
everyone gets
there's
to participate.
now there's a few.
It's like
Thrashers.
Thrashers blue, Thrashers white,
Yeah.
Thrashers black.
Yeah,
It's
there's
like
a bunch of
your
Thrashers
AAA.
teams now.
You're like
But
quad
the
A.
Thrashers,
You don't need it.
Like the actual Winnipeg Thrashers have been around like since like early 2000s.
All
like,
I'm saying
way
though is that
before
there's an
Atlanta.
acceptance of that Atlanta logo already, and the fact that the Atlanta Thrashers.
I mean,
moved
yeah. Then you
here-
could say also that the San Jose logo. There's a lot of NHL logos that get used for minor league teams.
That's
here.
true. I'm just saying that like it's
I mean,
funny
I
and
literally
ironic.
wore a
that you
Kings
have
jersey growing up.
the team that relocated is a staple minor league hockey team.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that could go well with people that have
Yep.
played there, getting in Atlanta. You know what I mean? That's all I'm saying. But I agree with you guys. I don't think it will. For me, the only way True North does it is if they need some money. That's the only way I really see it. Like if they can't have any other
Also-
So
ideas.
you're saying they'll do it.
And another
Eventually,
instance.
yes, but I don't see it being something
there's
they
a-
do for the fans.
Another instance is the possibility of the NHL going with Nike jerseys. Nike, with what they've done with their other sports, they had just released a ton of
You like referring
specialty
to the
jerseys.
NBA and like their city jerseys. and all
Exactly.
those
So what I'm
ones,
saying is that if the jersey right doesn't extend with Adidas, and if it say goes to someone like Nike, if they're going to be pumping out so many more jerseys, the possibility of getting some sort of a Thrashers throwback in any sense is now a lot higher because you have a lot more jerseys coming out.
Absolutely.
They need ideas, they need inspiration.
Mhm.
When you have more jerseys, you're going to have a wider variety of what you're going to see.
The NHL is slowly starting to adapt to that like climate in the market where it's like people like jerseys, they like older stuff, they like that retro
People like collecting
and,
shit.
and stuff they do. And you know, it's not only is it nice for the fans to have the option on buying these things for their collections and wearing them, but then it's also good for the teams because it's extra revenue that, you know, helps support the league and grow
Absolutely.
the league. So I think that would be a great idea, but again, it just comes down to True North and them actually
Especially
acknowledging
when they
hockey
smack an
history.
ad on every single one.
I was gonna say, like, for those like specialty jerseys, I'd still say that the NHL is at least one step behind because we see a lot of it, like with the Filipino heritage jersey. Great in the warm up, but then they only use them in warm up.
That's
And you
always-
see
That's
that like
one
with a
thing
lot
I
of it,
love.
like
That the AHL does is that they did like their indigenous jersey mixed with like the Moose logo and all
Mhm.
that, but they actually wore it for the game.
They do that with all of them. They have a Star Wars night. You're with
It-
Darth Vader themed jerseys and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
That's just
Well, there were and then there was one. Well, there was one Star Wars one I remember they only wore for a warm up, but yeah, they have done that stuff in the games.
yeah, because you always see like those types of jerseys like on social media, like from minor hockey teams
Yep.
and stuff that like made like these customized ones, and you're like, oh, those are nice, like neat. I'd buy one, maybe.
Neat.
Or I'd tell my friend to buy one. Like,
And then I can just steal it from him and wear it every once in a
Yeah.
while.
Hey, Zach, where'd my jersey go? Fucking no. Look at this new jersey I got, man. Though this is fucking
Oh
nice,
my
isn't it? No, like it's so weird though too, because like the only type of because the only parallel I'd say for like Winnipeg Jets and stuff in terms of like how we treat like jerseys and stuff like that and like the heritage of that would I guess the closest is like the Minnesota Wild, like giving the fact that they had lost a team from Minnesota.
Yep.
And it's really
Yeah.
weird because like the Dallas Stars are fortunate enough that mainly all of the main guys they can talk about were there in the carryover. Like, yes, the North Stars had some success, but there was about one deep run and then nothing after that. And like the main guy being Mike Modano carries over, so it's okay. But it's really kind of awkward because then like when the North Stars design comes out, Dallas doesn't use it and Minnesota uses the color scheme. So it's like it's just weird. It's
Well,
just
then you
weird
could put the
because
same shoe on Arizona with the Jets, right? Like Arizona, technically they could release a logo with jersey just like that if they wanted to, because they do have the option.
Now
to do
you
that.
see, that would piss people
That would
off.
piss
I was gonna
That
say-
would
piss
I was gonna
yeah.
say-
a ton of people off.
I was gonna wait for you to say yeah if they needed more money and then just let that sit there
But
for
like,
a second.
I don't think that would ever. Like, that's gonna be a huge slap in the face. You must have real personal beef with the owner of that franchise. You're like, yeah, you know, you're not gonna use a logo that's for your city. I'm just gonna steal that and put it on a completely different thing in the desert because that makes perfect sense.
Exactly.
How are we feeling going into the next two games? Because like next two games are Pittsburgh and Carolina
Yes.
Yep,
home
Carolina.
games. I feel good about how the Jets have been playing, but like historically speaking, those are two not ideal matchups for the Jets. Like even in the past, like with the Penguins, when the Penguins have kind of been not always their full potential, but a playoff team, Jets have struggled.
You're
against
forgetting
them.
about the Blake Wheeler hat trick. where
I'm
it was 6-1 or
okay.
whatever.
Take that one out. There's nothing else.
Casey DeSmith's first ever game gets absolutely shelled by Blake Wheeler.
Oh.
Good for him, man. No, I feel good about the Penguins. I don't know. I don't really believe in the Penguins a ton
Neither
this
do
year.
I.
I mean, like
No.
Jari's still the starter, I believe, there, right? He's still in there.
Still doesn't have
Yeah.
a glove hand.
Okay, well, Jari's standing in front of the net, and I don't know. I mean, you got Crosby, Gensel. I mean, plays out of his mind all the time.
Not to mention Kyle Connor's
and,
back officially now.
Exactly. So,
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
I don't know if he starts going on a bit of a tear now. He just potted 3 in the game winner against Anaheim. So if he starts getting going, and hopefully some of the lines can find some chemistry with everybody out. Hopefully, keep the ball rolling.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I'd love to see DeMello back. I'd also love to see Billy get in a game. Capobianco looked like he had cement in his shoes.
Really,
last
I
week.
actually like Capobianco. We were talking a
I
lot about
love
Capobianco.
Capobianco.
I
Like,
like
in
some really good
comparison,
I thought he was a little goofy last night. I don't know.
Well, maybe you know what.
You'd be goofy too if you
You
didn't
were-
play
no,
like a
well,
month.
that's
He's
true,
right.
yeah,
He's right. He did look goofy out there. I noticed that. But at the same time, I thought he was making goofy plays that were working.
Yeah.
Like he made some risky things, and with the angles he was
was
on,
good
the passes,
goofy.
good goofy hockey. That's what I think we're gonna be.
Just like a goofy movie.
But, like-
good goofy.
It's
good goofy.
Oh
Oh,
Oh.
shucks.
Shut up.
End the podcast.
Oh my god. But I don't know.
Buttons off.
I'm starting to really like Capobianco, and I don't want him playing over Villy, obviously. But like at
Such
the
a
same
double-edged
time,
sword.
it is like
you endorse him, and
Yeah.
then you're just like slowly like backstabbing your
I know.
morals.
But it's not like I'm gonna be like, oh, if you gave me a choice between Villy and Capobianco, I'm taking Villy Hinola every single time. But that being said, I think Capobianco is still playing better hockey at times than what you see, from the other guys that are getting rotated in that spot. Like Dylan Sandberg, I want to ask you guys this because I liked Dylan Sandberg last year. I thought he was good on the Moose. I liked him as a prospect. I hate his game now at the NHL level. He's boring. He doesn't do anything. He doesn't take
He's very
risks.
boring.
And
He's very boring.
he's not even very reliable for a boring.
Does he
defensive
have,
hockey
like-
player, like he makes a lot of mistakes still. So I don't know why we're still using him so much.
Does he have Logan Stanley syndrome, where he looks good for the first year that we use him in very
Yep.
limited minutes, and then the second we're just like, let's really pay attention to this guy next year, and then you're just like, oh god, I paid way too much attention
Yep.
to that
Yeah,
guy. It's
well,
a problem.
I don't know. I was gonna say, well, who did he play with? But he played with Brendan Dillon, who was struggling last season.
He played with Capobianco last night.
No.
Last year.
Last season. So
Yeah.
I believe he played a little bit with Dillon last year, and he played a little bit with Pionk for the most part, if I remember that right. Because Dillon got hurt, and then they slotted Sandberg in there.
Didn't Dylan DeMello? Wasn't there a Dylan and
The Dylan
the
DeMello
Dylan
pairing.
Yeah, the Dylan
Yeah.
DeMello pairing.
Yeah,
That
that
was-
was in
That
there
was
for
a funny
bit.
one, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
he was in for a bit.
Yeah, but yeah, no, it was Morrissey, DeMello, and then he played with Pionk, and somehow he fixed Pionk's weird, like, chaotic game that he likes to play. And we've been seeing a little bit more of chaos Pionk this year, paired with Josh Morrissey when there's no ground with DeMello. But anyway, like with Stanley, he played really good in sheltered minutes his first season, and then he kind of was, not with Dylan DeMello anymore, and that we've seen how that's gone for him. But I don't know, with Dylan Sandberg, I think he played better with a guy more like Neil Pionk now, and when you're put with a guy like Dylan DeMello, you're not really, I don't know, you don't have that puck mover defenseman kind of thing. Now it's just feels like he's gone more the defensive defenseman route, and I don't know if that's
That's on his game.
the route that they want him to push in, but it's not really doing it. I don't know. Just my thoughts. I think.
Like I remember that being a big problem when Josh Morrissey first broke with the team because they had him playing with Dustin Buffalo, and Josh Morrissey was a really good, like easy to trust two-way defenseman in the juniors and in the minors with the Moose.
Bro, they had him
And he
making
came
Team
up,
Canada.
And they
Like, they had him projected.
when they had him come up, they've had him with Dustin Bufflin, and I remember this for like the first few seasons there. He was good. He got some points. It wasn't anything special there, but he was so much more defensive because he had to make up for Bufflin's offense, and that kind of affected his game. You didn't get to see him grow, and now you're seeing finally what can happen when you give Josh Morrissey an opportunity to play his game with the right partner. And I feel like we're kind of going down that right with Dylan right now. Like if you give Sandberg, an opportunity to play with the right defenseman, and we have guys he could play good hockey with. It's just that
absolutely.
I feel like right now the coaching staff doesn't know what to do with the defense, and they've got so many questions up front with injuries now that they're just kind of screwed. Like I've been talking about it for a while now, and I've talked to Jackson too. I want to ask you though before getting into that about the trades, because I feel like now is when we finally should start to talk about them, because Mason Applin's out for what, like 3 months or something like that after his
3
surgery.
months,
Yeah, like
12 weeks.
Yeah.
it's a long time that Applin's gonna be out, and he was playing great, especially jumping up there.
And we're not just speculating either. That was on That's Hockey last night. Darren Dreger, you can go look that up if you want to say we're
Elliot
being
Friedman
weird.
even
Yeah,
talked
Friedman
like 2
was
weeks
talking
ago
about
even
that.
about
Friedman
how.
talked about that today actually.
We
On
did?
32 Thoughts, so you guys can go check that out. But,
Perfect. I have to read that after.
yeah, so I don't know. Jets are I don't know, kind of scoping out the right wing position, and I mean no real names, but who would you guys, if you had to guess, who do you think the Jets would be looking at?
If I know the Jets, they're looking at waiver claims.
I see Joe smoking would have
I was
I
gonna
saw
say,
that today,
Tracy
and I was like,
Jones
I wonder
is
if
there.
we do it.
Like, because I'm
Wonder if they
thinking,
do.
like, the way Winnipeg would work would be like, what do you mean? We have such a great AHL team.
Yeah,
Come back, Harkins. Come play
Yeah,
up to your
literally,
potential
yeah.
that we think you have. Like, no, it's so weird because, like, with this team, isn't it, like, our only avenue is waiver claims and guys who sign here because no one else answered their phone calls. Like, that's the way the Jets run things, and it's really, like,
Kinda
it
concerning when you really
it
think
is
about it.
concerning, but, like, they make it
Very
work.
limiting.
No.
Really limiting.
But I did want to mention one thing before, because we talked about this a bit more, see, with Bufflin, and I always found Bufflin was one of the weirdest defensemen to watch, because if you
Yeah.
watch Bufflin on on an even game, for example, you'd be like, he's fucking dead. Like, he'd go up and, like, I've never seen a guy so obviously dead tired than Dustin Bufflin. Doesn't move, goes like this, and starts yelling at everyone else on the ice. Move your fucking feet, kids! Like, you gotta move! And then you'll have another game where it's like, he just stays back and just kills people when they come into vicinity. It's like imagine you're Josh Morrissey going into the dressing room, be like, alright, who are we playing with tonight? Dustin Bufflin, alright, who are we playing with tonight? Like,
You're not gonna find out till 10 minutes into the
yeah,
first period.
yeah, 10 minutes into the first, okay, I guess it's this one, like.
You're not wrong though. I used to love that with Bufflin back then because it was just such a wild card. You know, they knew what you were gonna get with him on some nights. He'd be like, okay, is this forward Bufflin night? Is this I'm just gonna play defense and destroy?
He forgot that he changed from right wing to fucking defense is what he'd do every now and then. He'd be like, oh yeah, I'm still
That's
winging
what
the
made him
Chicago
so
Blackhawks.
He was fun though. You never
Yeah.
knew what you're gonna get out of him.
It's fun to
Or
watch.
hell, even a goon. You remember when back when they were making the run
Oh,
to the
yeah.
first round against Anaheim, and he got suspended going up in that last few games because he
That was
just
a bad
absolutely
one. That was a
destroyed
bad one.
someone in front of the
Was
crease.
that the? Oh,
Just
I remember.
cross check
That was
right in the
Derek,
neck on the
Derek
ice.
Stepan,
Yep.
I think.
I remember the
Destroyed
Dallas
Stepan.
one where there's there's like push, execution by Bufflin. Like it's like
Yeah.
Shifley pushes somebody pushes Shifley, and then Bufflin just doesn't even
Fire.
make it look and just full on executes the guy headfirst into the boards, and it's just like, oh shit! It was like watching a parent with the belt
That's
come
back-
down, like in
that's
the
back
middle
when
of
the
the
Jets
fight.
had an identity of being a thug team. Like
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
It's like we will kill you if you do not give us this.
Well,
point.
if you ask people in Toronto, we never really left that. But
That mentality of that team is only still with Toronto.
I know,
Like they're just like,
it's-
I want to kill Toronto. Anyone that leaves, so they're like, I'm gonna kill you.
that North
Every single
Division
time.
fucked up how some people think. I'm gonna tell you that
Oh,
right
yeah.
now. Like the way that the hostility
Oh, it's
going into those
crazy.
games are nuts.
I kind of
like,
miss that. I'm not gonna lie.
No,
I kind of miss that too.
Yeah,
Like,
but the
it's
thing
funny.
is
You know what? There always is hostility towards Pierre-Luc Dubois every time we play. It feels like anytime
anytime from everyone though.
No,
Like, everyone
yeah, I know.
hates it.
That's what I was saying. Every time I literally see anything about PLD on like Instagram in like the newsfeed or whatever, the entire comment section probably deserve that. Probably like just everybody hates Dubois. I'm not a Jets fan.
He's a pest. He's always in there. He's a
Yeah.
big bowling ball, and like Toronto fans don't like him because he ragdolled Matthews.
Yeah.
And if it was the other way around, they'd be championing
Yep.
Matthews around Toronto more than they already do.
He's developed
Yeah.
his
But,
strength
uh,
game.
Well, it's funny
Exactly.
in terms of being a pest
lifting the weights.
in the way that people look at him. It kind of reminds me of almost like a Chris Pronger. He just pisses everybody off.
He does. So
Yeah, it
it's
doesn't
good.
matter. Once they lose again in the first round this year, he's gonna go play in Arizona in the mullet anyway. God, I can't wait.
He's gonna grow out.
Can you just imagine Leafs fans though if that ever happens? Like, yeah, I'm going to go play in my hometown team for 5,000 fans leaving
You know what
the
the
hockey
funny-
market.
You know what
in
the funny
world.
thing is? You know what the funny thing is? They would be like, "How fucking dare you?" and fail to see the irony in that with
Yeah.
John Tavares.
Yeah,
They
John
would
Tavares.
think they would be so. They'd be like, "How you
Listen,
have
You
the
can
gall?
leave somewhere to go
I
home.
bet you didn't even have pajamas of that team when you were a kid. You fucking ingrate. We paid you $11 million. Yes, you deserved it, but we paid your ass. We own you."
That's the Toronto market.
Yeah.
And then 30 years from now, they'll reconcile the relationship. And then they'll finally put his banner up like they do with all their legends.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, sorry we accidentally traded you for a bag of pucks when you were like the best player in the league. You know, you want to come back for a game now that you're 85
Sorry.
years old and 1 foot in the grave?
Sorry we sold your banner for fucking
Yeah.
pennies on the dollar.
What was the name of their owner? Like that
Harold Ballard.
Yes.
Harold
Harold
Ballard,
Ballard.
that's what it was.
God.
The curse of the
Oh my
Leafs.
god.
They're still paying for that, which is
They will be
hilarious.
for the rest
honestly.
of their existence, man.
That U-Tree video on the Leafs is just excellent.
It's so funny
It's
too.
like,
when
what,
people
40 minutes
stumble-
long?
Yep.
Yeah,
Oh, it's amazing.
people stumble across it. They're like, "What the fuck is this? Like, how did?"
It's good. It's a good one.
Oh
Yeah.
god.
I don't know how we got here. I think we were talking about who the Jets were going to trade for, but this
First
just
started-
evolved bad.
We first started.
badly.
We
Welcome
first
to the
started trying to
Prairie
talk about like the
Podcast.
games coming up, and then it just like, where the fuck did it go from
Ah.
there?
Well, who do you think? Look, all right, back to trades. And who would you? Okay, for me, I can't pick a name out of a hat
Who's on
because there's
the
just too
market?
many right now, and like that too.
Yeah.
There's not really a market that's like we know is concrete right now. It's very, very unreliable rumors. So the teams that I think actually make sense that the Jets would make a move with, and I keep coming back to it. I have a thumbnail already prepped for it because I'm so confident it's going to happen. I think it's going to be the Senators. Because like not only has the phone been ringing since preseason
Who do
with the
you
Senators,
get?
I think that it's not. It's just if I'm not mistaken, didn't Pierre Dorian come to the Jets like
He
2
sure
weeks
did.
ago? Right?
He
was
sure did
scouting.
on his planned visit.
Yep. He was scouting. So I think that I really think Brendan Dillon's getting moved out when I look at that team right now.
Which is kind of a shame when you think about it, because given the timing, like if you had asked me, if you told me to trade Brendan Dillon a while ago, I'd been like, yeah, sure. But like now, I'd argue he's playing probably his best hockey as when Jet. Although that does make sense then when to move him, but like.
But I still don't see Brendan Dillon as a key part of that defensive core. Like, yeah, he has some fights. Yeah, he's scrappy. Yeah, he can hit. But like, I see him get burned out there more times than I see him stopping plays, and he's able to recover
That's
sometimes.
true.
But he's not a
And-
stable,
and that's
reliable
why-
guy at times.
Yeah, and that's why, as you were saying, and how he's been playing better, I think if this is a guy who realistically, unless he literally puts up some sort of unreal numbers, I expect him to get moved with kind of the pieces that we have coming up. So if he starts performing better and increases his own value so we get a bigger return out of it, then by all means, I'm fine with that. And whatever we can end up getting for him, because we ended up paying 2 second-round picks. So if we can get at least as much of that back as we can, then I feel like that's not bad.
Friedman talked about this on 32 Thoughts, and I thought it was super interesting about the there was a trade to Ottawa. A defenseman was going to Ottawa, but the player nulled it, so we didn't know move. And the only two guys that I can really think of that would be like have a market right now, maybe, was in Vancouver, Tyler Myers, or in here, Nate Schmidt or Dylan DeMello, because I believe Dylan DeMello was a 10-team, no move. So I was wondering if the Jets could have been looking to move Schmidt out.
Ottawa might be on there though. Like to be fair, like they had to waive. A lot of them had to waive Winnipeg.
No,
off
that's what I'm
theirs,
saying.
And so
but
we're on
but
there.
the player nulled it,
Mm.
right? So I'm wondering if the Jets had something in place to bring in a forward defenseman like DeMello or Schmidt. But that got nulled by their no move. I wonder if that's what happened. It could be, like, I'm totally guessing here, but...
It makes sense, though.
Kind of comes back to the whole, like,
it
having
lines
the guys
up.
off waivers.
And it's funny, too, that,
Yeah,
it's
right?
also funny, though, that you bring that up, because how did we get Nate Schmidt in the first
Yeah,
place? Like,
right.
that's the whole
Yeah.
thing. I'm not going to Winnipeg.
Paul Stastny needs to
you're
do a
coming to
pep
Winnipeg, bud. All right, I'm going. Which is so funny, because I'm Paul Stastny, fucked off to Carolina.
Yeah, it was okay. Yeah, it's
How
okay.
the hell has he even been doing?
I have no idea.
I have heard nothing.
I have a
about
notes
Paul
tab
Stastny.
that has all the point totals for the former Jets of last year.
I'm actually kind of wishing we had Paul Stastny right now, just because of injuries.
Really?
Like,
With his 4 points?
well,
Well, he's probably playing, like,
fourth line,
fourth
probably.
He
line.
is. He is,
Yeah.
to be fair. To be fair, though, I love Stas, but, like, if they brought him back, I feel like it would just tempt the organization to do something stupid, like just revert back to, you know what I mean?
Oh,
like,
for sure.
like everyone would be healthy, and like Ehlers would have like one bad game because he hadn't played in like 2 months, and they're gonna be like, all right, Stas, get
Paul
up there.
Stastny deadline acquisition
Yeah.
2.0 again.
It's funny you say that, because if we were to bring back Paul Stastny, I guarantee you the first line the next day would be Connor, Scheifele, Stastny.
Yep.
Yep.
And Gagne would go straight back to the bottom six, where you probably want him, but right
Got
now...
an assist last night.
With the right, like he's playing fine. I thought that first line played really well together. But
The
I'm
only thing with
yeah.
Gagne that bothers me, and it's the exact same issue I have with Blake Wheeler.
He was
playing up in
talking about
top
this the
six.
whole night
You
last
can
night.
see it. It's so obvious. He's so
No, but you were.
low.
But
Yeah.
sometimes
like you see it. Like I don't know how many times I saw it where like it's at the Jets are at their own blue line, and Mark Scheifele or Kyle Connor gets that puck, and they're about to just explode with speed, and they just look at Gagne and like, shit, let me just take a stride back
but
and just glide a little
you
bit.
were making me
Slow-mo.
laugh so hard because I'm like, now you're reading their thoughts now. What are you doing, Jake? Like, you're
But
like
you can
he
tell.
looked at him
You
and
can
turned and then
see
went,
it.
no.
There was a couple times last night too. I was watching Blake Wheeler trying to catch up to a pass, and the knees aren't what they used to be.
He used up
It's
all
kinda
his
tough.
energy in that Seattle game.
Speaking of
Really did.
reading thoughts, Zach, what were the thoughts of Saku Maenalanen when he saw your sign? What was that?
Fear.
What was that?
Okay, I don't know if you guys noticed this. He was one of the first guys off when they finally started letting guys off. Like, I started looking like when they were doing the second rush drill, and I went, wow, there's like a couple guys gone. And I looked, I'm like, Sacker's not even here anymore. He's just fucked up.
Like if you didn't, yeah. So it's in Zach's video too with the signs. You saw it, but I put it up there with mine, and god damn it, basically like Saku looked at the sign, did a double take. His eyes went like. And he never, ever looked at us again. And he was doing the line drills right in front of Zach's side. And, like, I don't even know, man, what he was going through. I can only imagine. But probably a lot of fear.
It's unfortunate. I don't have a little clip of Zach right behind him. Saku! He's like hitting on the glass.
To be fair, though, going in, I knew that was the vibe. Like, I knew they were going to look and be like, child, infant, 22-year-old, child. Like,
Wait, what's wrong with that 22-year-old?
And the 22-year-old has a Maenalanen sign?
yeah, definitely special. Like,
Well, going forward here into the Penguins game, obviously we're talking about it. I think we all feel pretty decent about that game.
Yep.
The way things have been rolling. Then next week we've got Carolina. That's a home game?
Yes,
correct?
it is. That's the
Yeah,
Fanny
that's
Pack
the
giveaway.
last of our...
Fanny pack.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So Fanny Pack giveaway game. First 5,000 fans go there.
return
So
of Paul Stas.
make sure you're bashing down the gate. So yeah, like you said, the return of Paul Stats.
He's going to get a
Dude,
goal.
now you gotta make a Paul Stats sign to go to that game.
First off, that would require me to get like 100, section 100. Although they didn't even ask. Okay, so actually, no, I feel like I need to talk about this now, actually. How we fucking got to the glass.
Oh.
Because I have never seen Jake felt like a cattle herder ever in my life.
I have a
So,
good reason for that.
We
though,
were in.
okay?
No.
Like,
Let me tell
it's
it.
for good reason. I got screwed last year when I came in November out for a game, man.
Oh,
like, literally
here we go.
rammed. Like, you guys remember the story? If you don't, I'll quickly explain it. I'm come in right when the gates open. I'm
Yeah,
super
oh,
ecstatic.
the
I haven't been to a
subs are-
Jets game in 5 years. 15 of the subs because it's a new channel, not because this thing has been around for 2 years.
None of us brought it up at all in our videos. It just went, oh, fuck, by the way, guys, please show up. Please come to our podcast.
Come to our podcast. Good God, please come to our games.
Either way, so what happened is that I came in when I was came into the arena really early, and the first thing I do is walk into the first section I see. I want to get a photo of myself with the rink. I go right down to ice level. I'm trying to take it. My dad's with me. And immediately as I enter the lower bowl, 2 security guards with the head usher come up to me, and they're like, you need to leave immediately, or let me see your ticket. And I'm like, why? And they're like, you don't have a seat here. And I'm like, okay, there's nothing on. Like, I'm talking, we're 30 minutes away
You
from
told
warm
them
up.
that you were the son of Neil Pionk.
And they kicked me out. They would not let me into the lower bowl because I did not have a ticket for
Should
that
have
game.
said you were the son of Harkins.
The son of Harkins?
Not the son of Harkins.
Daddy's gonna go ham on your ass if you don't let me sit down here.
No, so what was Jake's solution? We get there and we're like literally right behind where the ducks come out, and he just like starts walking across the aisle, and I'm like, okay, and then keeps going, and I'm walking, also like terrified because I got my stupid ass sign, and I'm following him, and I'm like, and I can see like the older woman like kind of looking at us, but I'm like in my head, I'm like, oh, the second we outpace her by like 1 section, what's she gonna do? Run? Like, no, we good, but he just made us walk through it, like there's people just looking at us like, are they this lost
You don't
in the
stop.
arena?
You just
Like,
go. You just go. You go. You don't look. You make it look like
Oh,
you're just
God.
like you're not.
The key to do something you're not supposed to do is act like you belong. And I know that because I used to sneak into bars in
That's what you
Hawaii
zoom in on
at
Jake's
resorts that I
face.
wasn't staying in. So there you go. But nonetheless, though, it worked. We got down there. They didn't give a shit this time, which I was shocked about because I really thought with
Yeah.
that sign too that we were just like had a bullseye on our backs.
Well, it's
like,
funny.
Get these
When
With
we
the
were
free
outta
Billy
here.
right on
when
it.
we were going in, So your sign kind of flapped open, like, and I saw the ticket taker just went, and then kind of just let it keep going. But the thing is I wrote it so goddamn horribly they
Can't
couldn't
even
even
read
read
it.
it.
Yeah.
It's like because you see, there's like I'm on like the Jets Twitter. You can see my sign in the warm up
No.
because I'm right in the corner,
Oh,
and it like
no.
looks like random tally marks are sticking out. Out of
It's
the
like
big-
it's like hieroglyphics on a freaking sign.
my
Oh
God.
man, but it worked. You know, technically got a puck for somebody. At least that counts for
Yeah, it
something.
does. But yeah, no. So Pittsburgh and Carolina.
You know what? I'm just gonna give my predictions. real
Yeah, I was
quick.
gonna say
I
score
think
predictions,
that
and then any bold takes.
okay. I don't think they lose either of these games in regulation. I think if anything, they lose tomorrow in Pittsburgh or maybe Carolina in overtime. But I think that this, homestand right now, you got a lot of energy off that Timo game. Kyle Connor getting the hat trick is huge. I think that the Jets are rolling high right now, and I'm not too in on Pittsburgh right now. And Carolina has been okay this year, if I'm not mistaken. Like I don't
Yeah,
think
Pittsburgh
they've
has been
insane.
so shaky. They've been so all over the place in the games that they've had, where they've had games where they go up against a good opponent and they pull out a win, and then they play somebody terrible and then they get their ass kicked.
This
But
was
where
expected of them.
it's just the inconsistency that I've seen from Pittsburgh,
Like this,
and so I'd like to hope that we can at least take advantage of that. You know?
like this
Well,
was
in my
supposed to
opinion.
happen like years ago. Like remember we kept going like this will be the year.
It's
This
been
is the year.
happening. It's
Yeah,
been
like
happening.
it's just a slow decline. And then
Right.
even like with last year, with the with the offseason with the Malkin thing, I kind of sat there and I went, this could be the trigger moment here where they could have. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
no,
Where,
they
they,
could-
where
they
if they
could've
didn't
started it
re-sign
back up.
Malkin, maybe they'd be okay. But they're like, no. Let's get Jeff Petrie. Let's re-sign Malkin. Because Jeff Petrie's the missing piece here.
Always has been.
It's
And like you got to appreciate the effort to always trying to win. And I think the Jets could take a page out of that book
Absolutely.
at times,
Yeah.
or a lot of the time. And then, but whatever. I mean, you got Sidney Crosby, and over there, he's the king. And every year that you've got that guy, you want to be trying to win for sure. But I do think Pittsburgh should have gone a different direction.
It's gonna feel weird when they're not in the playoffs.
Very.
Like, cause they're like 7-9-3, and I don't think it's a hot take to say they miss, and I also don't think it's a hot take to say that Washington can miss as well, and that is going to change the landscape of the Metropolitan Division.
Yeah.
Well, it's about time though. You got these generational talents that have been there for their entire careers. They've had amazing luck. Obviously Washington's only got one cup in there, but it's not like they haven't been in the playoffs almost every year. The times that he's been there, so you've still had playoff hockey consistently. It's kind of nice to see things coming up and changing.
change.
I agree.
Well, they're also hampered by what happened to the Penguins originally, like way back with Lemieux and his final type of thing. Is like because the only parallel I see is the old type of Penguin stuff like that with the Mario Lemieux Penguins. Because at least with Gretzky, he moved around teams and like he didn't always stay in one spot. There wasn't a whole team dedicated to forming something around him, and then once he left, it was done. With Lemieux, by the time he was done playing, the Penguins were awful. They
that was a
were
rough team.
dog shit. Like,
Yeah.
because they literally were just like, well, we still have Lemieux, so why? Like, it would feel wrong tanking. And like with Washington, it's like, well, we still have Ovechkin. It would feel wrong tanking. And with Pittsburgh, it's like we have Malkin. Got the whole gang. We got Malkin, Letang, and Crosby. We didn't trade.
And the
either
way
of
that
them.
Malkin re-signed that deal with like the whole thing of like Crosby going to his house and Malkin's like they don't even want me anymore.
He
And it's like
called the
it's-
GM, and he's like,
and it's like
nah.
oh my, it's like oh my goodness, he sounds like depressed. Like what's going on here? Like the Penguins are on that down. It's funny because they're on that downward slope, but there's going to be a point where it just drops off.
This could be this year, honestly. Like, I feel like I'd argue missing.
Could it
Crosby.
be tomorrow against the Jets?
Yeah,
another
so-
5-1 explosion.
any
Like,
so
they're
so,
killed them
so,
for good this
so
time.
score prediction and any hot take because you said they beat Pittsburgh tomorrow.
I think
or
they're going to
lose.
beat Pittsburgh, and if they lose any game, they're going to lose it in
Okay,
overtime to Carolina.
So
I feel
I'll
like.
say I'll say they win 5-3 against Pittsburgh tomorrow. Although that's going to be probably a lot of power play goals and a top-heavy scoring. 'Cause I don't see the bottom six putting up a lot of goals. And do we see Dave Riddick playing either of these games?
No.
Didn't think so.
Because there's the day in between. No.
Because there's what a sad.
Because it's not a back to back.
Yeah.
Yep. It's the way it works. He knows that's what you get. That's what you get if you're a backup goalie when you sign
Yeah.
with the Jets. You know you're only
I'll
keep
say-
playing on back-to-backs or injury.
I'll say 5-3, and I'll say a hot take. Capobianco gets his first point as a Jet.
I like that. If he even
Huge.
plays,
Playing.
we'll see what
Yeah,
happens.
I have 3-1 Jets winning Pittsburgh. Tough, weird game where empty net goal from Mikey Isemont.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, first NHL goal.
I'll say 4-2 Jets victory. Empty netter from. You know what? I'll say Capobianco. Why not? Get his first goal.
All right, mine's gonna be a real hot take, so I'm gonna say 3-0 shutout, and Dylan DeMello gets the empty net.
Ooh.
That's pretty
Big.
bold considering
That is
he's
bold.
sick right now.
Oh,
real
you
bold.
wanted a hot take?
Off the floor! On the board!
Hey, this is some hot take hockey over here.
He's just sitting. He's just sitting on the fucking bench. He's just laying on the bench. He's like, game time. All right, let's go.
It's gonna be Dave Grick.
Yeah, God.
He's gonna jump on the ice.
I was gonna say, I feel like we're tempting fate by all of us picking the Jets to
Kill
win that game, but okay. And then the game against Carolina.
Carolina for me is a little hard to predict because
I think we probably.
I just don't know what the roster will look like going into that game. Like
I think that game
it's
ends.
going to be the same.
I'll
Probably,
put it this
but
way.
does Billy play?
I
There
think-
are elements that could change that game with Carolina.
That's
I
true.
think that's a Billy thing.
Yeah, and well, I'll put it this way. I think that the final score will be 3-2 overtime, whether that's win or loss, and that can go either way. That's what I'd predict. At
Does
least.
Paul Stastny get a point?
Paul Stastny get a point?
Paul Stastny.
He ain't getting one in overtime if it goes to overtime. They ain't putting Paul out there.
My prediction: Paul Stastny scores the first of the game. It'll open up the scoring, and the Jets are going to lose 5-1 that night. Don't feel good about Carolina. I don't know. I feel like that's a weird game where Carolina's just going to go, no, you know what? We're going to play great tonight, and the Jets are going to get stoned.
I wouldn't be
So,
surprised. Like,
Yeah.
let's be real, they didn't play the best, most complete game yesterday. You can chalk it up to having 5 days off. You can chalk it up to the fact that they just weren't that good with all the depth pieces that they have in the lineup right now. You know, there's a lot of moving parts going on with the Jets, and it's not very stable. So every game is kind of up in the air, in my opinion. But
Well, their point totals, like their win losses and stuff like that, are pretty much identical. Like they're 10-5-2 or 10-4-1. So
Carolina's the
in-
healthier team, so I guess that gives them the advantage.
actually, okay. Fun little question here, and I know you're gonna get it wrong. Who has the best plus minus in the last 5 games in the Winnipeg Jets?
Brandon Dillon.
With
Dylan Sandberg, right? Not right?
Jeff?
Isn't that the top pairing?
Sacramento line.
In the last 5 games, the best plus minus is Brendan Dillon with a +3.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Well, good thing plus minus isn't a real stat.
I was gonna say, oh God. That's all
Maybe
I'm
for
saying.
like a defensive defenseman, that'd be where it matters.
What about I
but-
forgot to play defensive? I'm just saying. We scored we scored like twice while he was serving like a 17-minute penalty, and the second he got on the ice right after we scored our second goal, and then we got scored on. I don't believe in coincidence. I can't mislead coincidences like that. I'm just saying.
You know what? For Carolina, I'm just gonna say it. I think it'll be a 3-2 overtime loss for the Jets. I think they'll play good, but I think that the
That's
big
fair.
thing that's gonna keep them in that game, I think Connor Hellebuck, because he has in the past already this season. I think it'll be a Hellebuck night in that one for sure.
I got 3-2 loss in regulation for them. I think that Carolina either breaks a 2-2 or 2-2 tie, or they get up by 2 goals at any point and it just shuts down from there. Like I feel like the Jets, because honestly, we were very fortunate, especially with last night, that with the roster we had, we were only trailing once, and we were trailing first. Like it was in the first and second, and we got a power play to buff that, get rid of that. I'm a little scared with how this team is going to play when they're trailing for a prolonged period of time, given the fact that the roster is so liquid right now, especially in the bottom 6. And I'm kind of concerned because I know goal scoring is not Rick Bowness's strong suit at coaching. It hasn't needed to be because we're like second best in the league for like goals against, but I feel like there's just going to be a sense of panic in that game against Carolina because we're just not going to be able to get over the hump on that, and we'll lose probably 3-2 or 3-1.
That's fair.
I feel like that's honestly why Bonus so far has been a decent fit. Is that when it comes to just raw talent and ability, the Jets have a good amount of goal scorers and offensive producers. and where they've struggled is their defensive game in the past. So having a coach who's really who specializes in his defensive skills and strategies and whatnot has been kind of the perfect yin yang so far for the Jets, just being able to have that perfect balance of the two.
It's unlocking potential scorers of the Jet that we really haven't seen before.
Exactly.
Like Morrissey leading the team, and even Keonk really starting to find. Even though he's making some stupid plays out there defensively, he's playing much better than where he was like last year, even on both sides of the ice.
Jets need buckets.
When is Ehlers supposed to come back? Even?
No timeline still.
Yeah, no timeline. Might need surgery. So if
When-
that happens, Connor Garland, you're a Winnipeg Jet.
Yeah. Hey, Zach, when's your best friend Morgan Barron back?
I forgot about Morgan Barron.
He texted me last night, and he said that it would be. He's feeling pretty good, but he wants to feel 100%.
Yeah, I think it's like a couple more weeks for Barry, maybe like 2.5 weeks.
I think it's. I think it's like 2
because he did have surgery. Feels like forever ago. Yeah, so probably 2 weeks left. He had a 5-week recovery period.
Was
there.
his last game that game in Vegas? Where we
Couldn't
lost in
tell you.
overtime? Because I know he got an assist in that game.
Then it probably was that.
Because he literally was like on a point streak when he got injured. It's like,
Yeah.
that's unfortunate.
Same with Appleton a little bit. He was
And
playing
technically-
some of the best hockey he's played in his career, arguably.
So
Great time to be a Jets fan.
Ehlers has
well, it is
3
because we're
points.
winning. But
Ehlers has 3 points. That's the weirdest thing to look at. Like we're 10-4 and 1, and Ehlers
3
has
games.
3 points. Yeah, but he got all 3 of them in one game.
That's true.
He got 3 assists in the
Yeah.
first game.
I don't really know what else there is to talk about. There's only been one game since the last time we recorded, so
I love NHL scheduling.
Yeah,
exactly.
had a nice 5-day break.
They do nothing.
I gotta get ended on like our favorite moment from last night with the team with Temple Newman and ceremony. You know, because I like
Sure.
that was the whole reason I came out here.
I still can't believe they shouted out Dallas Eakins.
That was awesome.
That was
Yeah.
great. I don't know if you've seen like the.
And he did
'cause
the little action.
I put the
juggling
clip.
above. That was
I
great.
put the clip on in our video, and he kind of just goes, like he legit just goes with this, like what is this,
It was
Dallas?
so funny.
And you just see Timo up there, 2 big thumbs up,
Dude,
going
Timo's
crazy.
like-
That okay. Well, I'll go first because that was my favorite part. Every time the crowd kind of like hushed down a little bit, like right after the Zegers goal, we're all like, "Oh, okay, that kind of sucks." So it's 2-2, and then right over to Timu, and then Temple every time, Timu, and Timu would turn around and
Or Temple would be like right behind his shoulder,
Yeah,
like
just smiling, watching this hype
Yeah.
man get the crowd going.
like looks like he's like opening the fridge to the fucking suite, and meanwhile Tebow's like front and center.
hell yeah.
For me, I gotta say, like, just having, I think one of my favorite moments, honestly, was the fact that Thomas Steen was there too. Like, having 3 members out of the 10 of the Hall of Fame, I thought was pretty awesome. I did not expect him to be there, so, you know, him with everything else, the banners look absolutely gorgeous. I love that color scheme on those banners.
Oh, it looks
It's
great.
so nice. It just makes me want the original 90s jersey just back in the exact same way, but we'll see when that ever happens. But no, the whole night was incredible. They did a really good. True North
Yeah.
knows how to handle their Hall of
I-
Fame.
I
That's the
could
one
s-
thing that they do well,
yeah.
is acknowledging the past.
Yeah, I could see them realistically sometime doing a heritage jersey in the same colors as the heritage, but with the 90s, the 90s stuff.
Next time they do
at some
Winter
point.
Classic.
Maybe.
Yeah.
That'd be
my
dope,
money.
actually.
That's
if they
what
did
my
that.
money's
That'd
on.
Well, because that's what the banners are. Because it's not the same shade of blue. The shade
No,
of red's
it's
the same,
bright.
but the shade of blue is wildly
be- Yeah,
different.
but
And the print,
But
on
it
the
works-
logo
but it
is
looks
just
great.
So very
Oh,
sharp.
just perfect.
What was your favorite one? Okay.
What was my favorite moment? It's got to be the banner unveiling itself. That was so neat. Actually, because like I was never there for any of the ones where they've unveiled any of the other banners except Mike Keen's banner unveiling a long time ago.
did they unveil that like the same way, or did they
Yes.
actually raise that one?
Oh, they might have raised
They
it.
raised it.
Yeah.
They that one they raised.
I still,
but that's an actual jersey
quick
retirement.
question
I
though:
think.
is that how? Because like I feel like I'm noticing this a lot more around the league. When they retire a jersey, they
Yeah.
raise it. Like, you
Yeah.
see
Yeah,
it.
that's
But when
why I
it's
was
a Hall
saying-
of Fame night or whatever.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just unveil it, right?
That's
okay.
why I was saying with the Mike Keen one, they actually raised
Yeah.
that
I'm
one.
still upset that they changed Mike Keen's banner from the old color scheme to the new color scheme.
Especially because you know
He never
they
wore
still
that fucking shade of blue.
well, especially
Bro
because
played for like 20 years. He
well,
never
and
wore
you
that
know they
fucking
have
shade
that
of blue in his
banner
life.
kicking around because when they had I think it was their fan
It was like on the
appreciation night.
concourse.
They had all the old banners on the concourse, and you could just
Like,
walk
what the
up
fuck
and
are
take a
you
photo
doing
and be
here?
like, oh, they look quite big. Shit. You know?
Well, no, like they should, because like, did they recolor the fucking ones in the Manitoba Moose winning the stuff in like 2008-9? No.
Just like quick, we bought the team back. Pop a can of spray paint. Like, bro, you
Yeah.
always had the team. You always had the
Actually,
Moose.
Papa Can spray paint is pretty. Isn't that all their
They just
promo
fucking
bits
Yeah,
now?
it is actually.
Yeah.
I forgot. Wait, is that only for the 90s though?
What?
Is that only for the 90s, or is that every game?
That's
I don't.
That's every game.
It is. Oh my
Yeah,
god.
they do that for.
I guess
What?
Let's rock.
Oh yeah. I literally was like going like this, Jake. I'm like, look, you
So-
need to
Are
see
you
this
ready,
shit.
Winnipeg? Good God.
God.
When Perfetti did it.
Bro, he went around and handed a kid a puck, didn't smile fucking once. Like he went like this, he went,
He not, and then the dad's banging on the glass. He's just dead faces, like skates away. It's like, oh my god, have some emotion in your life, man. Yeah.
Finish it up.
Meanwhile,
What's your
Schmidt-
favorite part?
I don't know if Schmidt gave anyone a puck, but he was having a great time.
So yeah, what was your favorite part?
giving the puck to the kid. No, I'm just fucking with you.
Fuck them kids.
No, just.
Oh my
It was
God.
after I gave the kid the puck that I realized he didn't even know the puck was there, and I went, oh, thought this was like a peer pressure thing. I don't know.
So it was not out of the goodness of your heart.
no,
it's
it
'cause
was
there
as
was
well.
someone
It
watching.
was as well. It was as well. I didn't get a puck. But like,
Well, I mean,
I
what do you
guess
mean
I
you
guess
bought one?
basic answer. I didn't play with it. I ain't fucking. It's Connor Hellebuck. It's my second Hellebuck. God. Like, oh,
So what's
Okay,
your
what's
favorite moment?
part?
sorry, he fucking distracted me. Tough call. Guess I'll have to go with the fucking vanilla answer of just saying the hat trick was really nice since you guys picked literally everything else. Like, you picked the jersey unveiling. Well, you picked Dallas Eakins by default.
And the camera
And
panning
the,
on Steve.
and the whole experience, like Disney channeling it, like the whole thing. It wasn't about the destination; it was the
Get
friends
your
we made
wand
along
out,
the way.
Jake.
Yeah, no, Hattrick was fucking good, and we won. So yeah, W's a W.
Huge.
There we go.
Huge.
Should have just done it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess I'll take us out here because I don't know. This was something.
This was fun.
Yeah,
This is your first time in this house too, so
Yeah, it's my introduction to the to HQ Nolan Hockey Podcast. Didn't call it the Zach Nolan Hockey Podcast this time. But yeah, no, I think Timu and Temple Knight definitely a success. True North did a really good job with that. Jets win, obviously. This is the only game that they've played since the last time we recorded, so we went off on a little bit of our own thing here, freestyled it a little bit. But lots of games coming up. Guys have anything else to add?
Stay tuned for the next episode for covering the next two games and all that next week.
Mm.
Make sure to subscribe too. I hope you
Yeah.
guys and we hope you enjoy the new channel. We hope you guys are digging it.
We gotta remember to tell people.
We got
about
lots more.
Yeah,
We're gonna have lots
We do.
more. We're gonna
Yeah.
have lots more Prairie Puck type
Like, so
content
far-
coming out in the future. So stay tuned for
it.
that.
Like so far, it's like the size of like a youth group, and we're hoping to build it up to about village by the end of the month or so.
Small village.
You shall see.
Shout out to all 13 of you.
15.
15?
Well, if
Let's
you don't
go.
count us,
Zach.
All right,
Zach,
yeah, we'll see you in the next
make
one.
sure you
Bye.
subscribe with
Bye.
Central.
We don't subscribe.